Thank you for watching this video for APS NZ Tax April 2019 release. This release includes all enhancements and hotfixes since the April 2018 release. So if your practice doesn't install August or January releases, I recommend that you watch the new features videos for those two releases. And they're the top two on the list there. April 2019 is the big change for B2B from TORS, Tax Agents Web Service, to TDS, Transaction Data Services. And there's a separate video covering that topic, and that's the third one down on the list. We also recommend that you watch the APS NZ Tax rollover video. Following positive feedback from the prototypes demonstrated during the tax workshops in September 2018, we are pleased to introduce these enhancements into Compliance Admin. For this video, I'm using an obfuscated client database. In the Tax Notices page, we now show details of notices in compartmentalised tabs that group collections of notices together. So that's those along the top there. This is part of our continued aim of making APS Tax Admin a handle by exception process. In the top toolbar we have a From Date box. Selecting a date in here means that only notices with an issue date after that date are displayed in any of the tabs. By default, the page opens up on Writ Match tab, and that is why, as you can see, it's displayed in red. So the Writ Match displays notices in here where the return calculated writ value and the notice received writ value agree. Let's pick a better example there. The same applies for family assistance, penalties and interest. The terminal tax stroke ref and the 2019 provisional tax are not considered in this comparison, so you may see differences in there. The refund match is exactly the same as the writ match, but there is a refund due. You'll see in this particular example that there isn't actually a value in the notice received writ, but our system's able to calculate what that value should be from the other information in the notice. For both the refund match and the writ match, there is a selection box next to each record. So this enables the tax administrator to glance at each one as they go down and select them, or the select all option at the top, and then to process these we have right click options. So the first one is accept notice details, and this will move the status to assessed OK or accept notice close return, which will obviously close the return as well. So on an update, the system will take the return calculated figures and move them across into the assess column on the top here. You can change these figures if you particularly want to. You can highlight it, change it and save, and you could then update automatically or update it as part of the bulk save. So I'll demonstrate now what happens when you do a bulk save. So I'll right click on these, I'm going to accept notice and close return. It tells me 5 notices have been updated. And it clears the writ match screen. So now I'm going to be able to go along to the OK closed and just make sure those have been updated OK. So if I now click on OK closed, we can see all of the returns that have been closed or have been moved to assessed OK as a result of the bulk process or moving it manually. And we think this is good because in the past, to be able to view any that you'd moved to assessed OK or closed, you had to come out of Compliance Admin to be able to see those. Okay, moving on to the Writ OK warnings area. So this tab is where the return writ and the notice writ values agree, but other return and notice values may differ. So as mentioned before, family assistance, penalties or interest, or there are any losses in the return calculated. So these are exceptions and require an overview from the tax administrator. So there is no bulk option. As you can see, there's no boxes here, and they need to be handled manually in the same way as the process used to be. So for this return, it's showing under Writ OK warnings because there are losses. We've got other ones here, there are penalties. So this is an example of one of the edge cases that we can also get in this warnings group. So we'll see over here that the terminal tax is different, but we don't compare the terminal tax boxes. The return calculated and the notice writ are the same, and everything else appears to be the same. So why does this appear under the writ warnings? Well, the answer to this is that the actual notice itself contains a description other, as you'll see here. And our grid doesn't classify other because we don't know exactly what it is. So what we've done is introduce a new column to the tax notices grid called Other Adjustments. By dragging this on from the column selector, I'll just do this now. Here it is down there, drag onto the grid. So we can see the value of other. And if I hover over the yellow warning triangles, it tells you the taxpayer has other adjustments. So this is something to look out for when you're working through there. The Writ Difference tab displays where there's a difference between the return calculated writ and the notice received writ. No notice makes it easy for the tax administrator to see a list of returns that have been lodged, but as yet no notice of assessment has been received. Query hold shows those that are at a state of assessed dispute, and OK closed, as we said before, we've already had a look at. Moving on to IRD transactions. Where ID transactions are displayed for a particular year, such as 2019 here, and the tax matter for that year has not yet been created. Previously you couldn't sort these transactions by matter partner or matter manager. This was because without a tax matter there could be no partner or manager assigned. So in order to facilitate the requirement to filter by matter partner or matter manager where the tax matter does not exist, the system will now look at the previous year's tax matter and display those matter partner and matter manager details. April sees another enhancement to the refunds transfer screen. The purpose of this was to give greater visibility in the refund screen over amounts available to transfer. If the client was themselves in receipt of transfers from another taxpayer and the source return has not yet been synchronized. So when you're in the refund screen, you see an indicator here, which when you hover over it, informs you that the balance includes an amount from a pre-synced return. Once return is synced, this information is not required and then it's of course reflected in the balance. Some things to be aware of as a result of the continuing IRD business transformation program. The PTS, the IR538, will no longer be accepted from April 2019, and therefore we no longer allow the ability to create a PTS for this year from Tax Console or Tax Manager. The PTS for 2015 to 2018 can be created and submitted via e-file, so please read the release notes for more information. Returns for some prior years for other form types may no longer be accepted or may need a paper form. Again, more details are available in the release notes. where you'll be able to view this chart, which gives more details on what can and can't be accepted. So here we have the return types and the years, and then at the bottom those in grey show what the ones that can be e-filed, MyR and paper available. We can also see only paper available, and then where there's no channel available to be able to file. Please take the time to view the other videos which I mentioned earlier in this video, and thank you for taking the time to watch.